10 best kids cartoons of the 2000s. Hey guys, what's up? Welcome back to Enchant Films. Let's get into the video. Number 10, Dave the Barbarian. One of Disney Channel's forgotten favorites, Dave the Barbarian was one of the best parodies of the fantasy genre ever put to animation. With satire on works like Conan the Barbarian, Lord of the Rings, Norse mythology, and even Disney's own animated masterpieces, the series is perfect for any fantasy fan looking for a quick laugh. Think of it as Disney's animated attempt at Monty Python and the Holy Grail, only with a more family-friendly twist. While it may not be the best and the brightest, Dave and the rest of Udragoth have more than a few fun adventures to go around. Number 9, The Fairly Odd Parents. Timmy, Cosmo, and Wanda on Fairly Odd Parents. Fairly Odd Parents had a great run on the show, began to suffer from exhaustive attempts to reinvent itself and stay fresh by adding in new characters. In its classic era, the show was one of Nickelodeon's strongest programs on its roster. Timmy Turner was a pretty wholesome and, at times, overly ambitious child, but he never came across as obnoxious. Nearly the exact description could go to Cosmo, who was a man-child, but ever lovable, and who was a good balance of the more strict and intelligent Wanda. The show had a solid supporting cast, great comedy, and surprisingly good-hearted messages in its long run. Number 8, Kim Possible. Most cartoons overwhelmingly feature male protagonists and are more male-friendly, but Kim Possible made it a focal point to play with that idea, helping usher in more female-led shows. Kim was a realistic teenage girl with a double life as a sort of secret agent alongside her bumbling sidekick Ron, constantly countering them with several villains, but the most common encounters were with Dr. Draken and Shigo. It was always made clear that Shigo was a real threat, something Draken really noticed. The show had long-form storytelling and built up Ron and Kim's friendship very gradually over the time before opening the idea of a romantic relationship. Number 7, Kobioko. Kobioko is an interesting sci-fi epic concerning a group of boarding school students, a friendly elf-like AI, and an evil supercomputer program that seeks to destroy the human race. It's like if Tron met Chrono Trigger. This French-made anime series made its way over the Atlantic and was introduced to American audiences through Cartoon Network's Miguzi Run. With 4 seasons counting 97 episodes and even a recent live-action sequel series, audiences still haven't gotten their fill of watching Jeremy, Aelita, Odd, Ulrich, and Yumi take on the corrupted technological forces of Xana. Number 6, The Batman. To be fair, any Batman series trying to follow on the leather heels of Batman the Animated Series is going to have its work cut out for it. That being said, The Batman did at least try something completely original with its version of Gotham's Caped Crusader. It even reinvented near-forgotten villains like Calendar Man, Ragdoll, and Firefly into a more modern rogues gallery for Batman to bash over and over again. Was it as good as the 90s series that came before? Debatable. But no one could ever deny that this series wasn't creative in its design, delivery, and depth. Number 5, Ed, Edd n Eddy. Ed, Edd n Eddy mastered the art of stupid humor better than any other cartoon. The show was brilliant in its frankly insane approach to entertainment and slapstick comedy, which was over the top even for a cartoon. Thus far, it remains Cartoon Network's longest-running original series, clocking in at nearly 11 years of laughter. The show's constant scams and bizarre cast of characters almost function like It's Always Sunny in Philadelphia for kids, with no limitations of human actors. Number 4, House of Mouse. Before Captain America Civil War became known as the biggest crossover event in Disney's history, there was a House of Mouse. Hosted by Mickey Mouse and staffed by Minnie, Goofy, Donald, and Daisy, the House of Mouse itself is a nightclub where all the famous faces of Disney came out to play. Everyone from Snow White to Simba makes an appearance in the show, making it a regular for who's who of Disney royalty. With so many new faces to the Disney name in recent years, there has never been a better time to bring this show back for modern audiences. Who wouldn't really want to see the cast of Big Hero 6 mingle with the Zootopia crew or some of Arundel's royalty? Number 3, The Grim Adventures of Billy and Mandy. Billy and Mandy is such a weird premise that somehow managed to spiral out of control and get even weirder. 2 kids manage to get the Grim Reaper bound to them as their best friend forever, and, well, hijinks ensue. For an era that was filled with goth and emo kids, Billy and Mandy made that phase look cool while also playing with the ridiculousness of it. The downright nasty nature of the show, in contrast between the brilliant and savage Mandy and idiotic and heartful Billy with the laid-back and pragmatic Grim, made for a show that really sealed Cartoon Network's reputation for willing to get darker with its art. Number 2, Teen Titans. Cartoon Network was always a bit more daring with its programming than many of its rivals, and Teen Titans was a great example of crafting tales for a younger audience that will still be mature and structured. Like most of the Number 1, Phineas and Ferb. Phineas and Ferb was a show that mastered the art of formula and running gags, and the more often repetition and self-awareness were present. The funnier it would get to an extent, the show's formula would be Phineas and Ferb creating grand adventures while their sister Candace tried to bust them and get them in trouble. Meanwhile, their pet platypus Perry would face off against the somewhat sinister and utterly charming Dr. Doofenshmirtz, and yes, each episode featured music, and great music at that, which must have been a very hard task to accomplish. While the main story was always decent, the Perry side segments always stole the show. While the show was starting to get stretched out, it became aware of the fact and ended on a solid note. This brings us to the end of our video. I hope you enjoyed it. Hit like if you did, and don't forget to subscribe to our channel so you don't miss out on any of our videos in the future. Also, watch the 2 videos that are on your screen because I'm sure you'll love them. With that, I'll see you in the next video.